On this episode of MythBusters,
you are looking for Mr. James Franklin Heineman.
It's take two of Man versus Man's Best Friend.
We're hot on that guy's trail.
As Adam and Jamie take on the bloodhound that licked them the last time around.
I'm very, very clean.
In the ultimate sniff-off, we'll see who falters first.
I might leave a shoe here.
And who's best in show.
I'm just like flabbergasted at what we just saw.
Meantime, Carrie, Tori, and Brett also try out some mythical methods of beating the sniffer dog.
Oh my God, dog cam is awesome.
With distraction, attraction, and a dose of downright repulsion.
All right, act normal, everybody. I always get nervous around cops.
Who are the MythBusters?
Oh, yeah.
Adam Savage.
Come, Silent Walrus.
And Jamie Heineman.
Quack, damn you.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Joining them, Tori Belleci.
It's starting to feel like a bad idea.
Grant Imahara.
Pretty sexy, huh?
And Carrie Byron.
It's awesome.
They don't just tell the myths.
Hey.
They put them to the test.
You remember 3 years ago when we did the original dog special?
Yep.
Remember how you chased me through the woods with the bloodhound while I tried like 6 or 7 different methods of evading you?
Yep.
Well, ever since we aired that episode, fans have been emailing us, both with things they said we didn't do correctly and new things they want us to try. And I think it's time to revisit it. Try it again.
Well, maybe if we get it right this time, they'll stop hounding us.
Somehow I don't think so.
Back when we first tried beating the bloodhound, AWOL Adam had the time of his life.
I just want to say, if this looks like fun, it's twice as much fun as it looks like.
He ran crisscross. He waded through water. Then he wasted a whole peck of pepper. None of it worked. But this time, the old boys have some new tricks.
I think the plan here is pretty simple. We get the same trainer and the same dog.
That would be Matt and Morgan.
Exactly. Run them through a whole set of new tests. See how they do.
Those new challenges, fresh from the fan site, are the red herring, the no-sense suit, the deep water run, and the lineup. And there's also been some recasting.
This time, however, Jamie's the escaped convict, and I'm the sheriff.
That's right.
And Morgan is still Morgan, little suspecting what waits up the track in test number 1.
Well, Jamie, in light of your friendship with the governor, Morgan, Matt, and I are going to give you a 5-minute head start. Go!
Just like last time, the convict gets 5 minutes grace, hopefully leaving nothing behind but his own manly scent. If he's caught, the dog gets a reward.
I've also promised Morgan that on the last chase, if he catches Jamie, he can eat him too.
Okay.
Speaking of lunch, this first trial, suggested by one of the fans, is called the red herring.
This looks like as good a place as any.
And if that needs explaining, here's Jamie with fish.
Unfortunately, this isn't smell-o-vision, but let me tell you, this is really stinky stuff. It's a persistent smell. And the idea is that once the smell gets in the dog's nose, he's not going to smell anything else. Red herring.
All right, everyone, listen up. You are looking for Mr. James Franklin Heineman. He is considered extremely dangerous. You are not to approach Mr. Heineman. You are not to offer lunch to Mr. Heineman. If Mr. Heineman speaks to you, you do not speak back. If you approach Mr. Heineman in your car, keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times. Mr. Heineman is extremely dangerous. What I want now is a hard target search of every star, cluster, dustbuster, and mythbuster out there until you find him. Is that clear?
Well, it's crystal to me, but I can't vouch for the dog.
All right, Jamie, time's up. Here we come.
And with barely a whiff of Jamie's old undies, known in the trade as a scent article, Morgan's off down the trail with 2 humans in tow.
Jamie seems to have run a serpentine across this path. I can just see him giggling to himself. Serpentine!
Up ahead, Jamie shows he can weave, warp, and weft.
Do a little bit of double back, although I don't think that's gonna fool him.
But the herrings just might. Morgan doesn't just stop for a sniff.
Leave it, get to her.
Try staying for dinner.
Leave it, get to her. Leave it, get to her. Let's go, come on, come on. Now in your classic detective story, the detail that has nothing to do with finding the murderer that throws the detective off the trail is referred to as the red herring. Now our convict, Mr. Heineman, seems to be quite the reader, for in an attempt to throw us off his trail, he has left us an actual pile of red herring.
Doubleback Jamie holes up in a thicket, close enough to the action for him to smell Morgan.
So we'll see whether the fish actually makes a difference now, because he's been following the road quite well.
But it seems Morgan's come slightly adrift. The trail's clearly gone cold, and he's already past the spot where Jamie turned back.
So that tells me that a lot of it may have gotten into his nose and stayed there, which means it may be doing its job. They're long gone. They're down the trail.
In fact, they've come to the end of the trail. The only choice left is to backtrack and pick up the scent where they lost it.
Okay, here they come.
They're sent back there.
Running right by me again.
We know Jamie was right here. This is where he dumped a bunch of red herring. Actually smells really delicious. We're trying to pick up his scent where he went from here.
This is probably Morgan's one shot at picking up the trail. As the scent wafts away in the breeze, so do his chances of finding the fugitive.
All right, let's go. Where is he?
But persistence and perception pay off as he hunts down the Heineman.
Hello,
Who's that?
Morgan.
Who's that? Who's that? Ah, so good. Oh, where'd he go?
Hello, Morgan.
Ah, so good.
Hello,
boy. You're caught.
It took you a while.
It did take us a while. Come here, go boy. The red herring scent pool definitely threw Morgan for a loop. We had to come on back and start from that part again.
And I actually selected this place because at the time, the wind was going this way, away from the trail and everything. And I watched you guys go right past us.
So the red herrings worked, but not well enough to beat Morgan.
It did distract him because he wanted to eat it, which may well be the origin of this myth. I mean, it pulled him away from doing his job, but the fact is that he got right back on the trail, and the bottom line, red herring didn't beat the bloodhound.
The fierce odor of fish was no match for the dog. Now it's time to get devious.
Next up is the no scent suit. Now this is quite a process that involves a lot more than just a suit. We've got a lot of products that use enzymes to break down smells, like a body wash. We've got deodorant, we've got wipes, we've got sprays for the outside. The idea is to not leave anything that comes off your body for the dog to smell. So, excuse me, I gotta take a shower.
So in a few short minutes, Jamie should be less smelly than ever before in his whole stinking life.
I'm very, very clean.
He's been washed, rinsed, and sprayed. Now it's time to get detailed. Short of having a hot wax, Jamie's done all he can
Excellent.
to arrest his aroma.
You guys ready for a workout?
What are you wearing?
My jammies.
I'm totally speechless. Are you ready?
I'm ready if you are.
3, 2, 1, get the hell out of here.
Once again, the head start is 5 minutes. Jamie sticks to the path for a while, hoping the no-scent suit lives up to its name.
This whole concept of eliminating any trace of human smell is very familiar to hunters and trappers. Most animals can smell us a mile off, so it really pays to disguise or neutralize your scent the best way you can. Now, a hunter does that to sneak up on his prey, but I'm using the same technique to avoid getting nailed by this dog.
Back down the track, the hound is let loose as Jamie goes off-road.
Okay, where to go? They're coming to get me. Okay, this is it.
I think we got a scent. We're on him.
But that might just be wishful thinking. Jamie, meantime, is snug and smug.
And you know what? If they come upwind, the wind's going this way,
everything that's behind me is thicket, so they're going to have to pay for it.
Then again, sometimes it just doesn't matter which way the wind blows, or seemingly what you're wearing. Despite his diligence, it seems Jamie is dressed for disaster.
Hello, Morgan. Oh, you found me. Good boy.
You are caught again.
I guess a no-scent suit and no work.
No work. You put out plenty of a scent, and we followed it strong the whole way. Nice try.
So the nose of the bloodhound is more than a match for a suit and a spray and a shower. And Jamie's the first to admit it.
Well, it might look fancy and it might work for deer, but this no-scent suit, no match for the bloodhound.
Okay, so Dogs, the sequel, what have we got?
We are testing myths on how to beat a sniffer dog.
You know, I've always wanted to test that.
Yeah, you and the fans, because the website is full of suggestions on how to get contraband past these dogs that have been trained to detect it.
Cool.
She's not a sniffer dog.
Yeah, it's the best I could do at such short notice.
By sniffer dogs, they mean the ones trained to snuffle your suitcase for something illicit. So to kick off this myth, let's see if and how it all works. Both parties agree that this interspecies get-together should be outdoors, and the nearest thing we have to a backyard is the bomb range.
Now, normally when we come up here, we're blowing something up, but today we're going to be playing with dogs. Detecting dogs, to be exact. And they're some of the best in the country. Now, we're not allowed to tell you what they are trained to find, but we are going to be able to show you exactly how good they are at finding stuff.
Almost any breed of dog can be trained for detection, but bigger is better in case things turn nasty. Compared to bloodhounds, well, the skill set is slightly different.
So what's the difference between a detecting dog and a tracking dog?
For a detection dog, they're looking for a specific substance. For a tracking dog, such as the bloodhound, they're actually looking for a human scent.
Now, how do you train these dogs to sniff out a certain, contraband?
What we do is we introduce them with an odor, and once they indicate on the odor, we teach to sit down. And then there's a reward that comes along with that. It could either be food or a toy.
No cheating.
That's pretty much the same incentive scheme we use with Tori. But these special agents have a talent no man will ever come close to matching.
So to put these contraband sniffing dogs to the test, we need some contraband. Now, this is a material that they're trained to sense, but we're not at liberty to reveal exactly what it is. And when I smell it, all I smell is paper. Let's see how the dogs do.
Now, it's not that we doubt that they're good at their job, but before we try to bamboozle these dogs with mythical ways to defeat them, we do need to see one in action.
All right, so I got the contraband. I'm gonna go over here where there's all these old vehicles. There'll be a lot of different smells, gas. I see some horse trailers. I'm gonna put it near there. Maybe the scent of the horse might throw the dog off.
Rest assured that the mystery material packed in the envelope is legal. Accepting the challenge is Sniffer Dog Buck and his trusty sidekick, Ken.
I think he's distracted. So am I.
All right, let's see how good those dogs are.
So the search for the substance begins. And remember, all Grant could smell was the paper it was wrapped in.
He is very focused.
After checking the containers
He's working hard.
Sure is.
and the pallets, the dog hones in on the horse trailer. And he's smelling a lot more than manure. For Ken, it was never in doubt. But the boys have just realized how tough a task they've set for themselves.
Man, these dogs are good.
Meantime, Carrie's researching just why they're so good, with a man who definitely knows one end of a dog from the other.
This is probably the most finely tuned organ in the entire body of the dog. I mean, look at this. We've got a flexible positioner here. Sucks up lots of air and gets it back to that olfactory sense. We think that probably a third of their brain is dedicated to the nose, okay? Whereas in you and I, it's tiny, tiny little bit.
So let's look at the bright side. we should have brains to spare to outsmart the sniffer dog, right?
So these dogs really are living up to their job descriptions.
True, but there still are a bunch of mythical techniques to put them off the scent.
Right. I mean, we could try distracting these dogs. You know, maybe confuse them somehow or get them disinterested.
And then there's simply masking the scent with something more overpowering or odor neutralizing.
Okay, well, let's try the second technique because that's the most obvious. You have something smelly? Cover it with something smellier.
With a promising plan, all we need is a sizable venue.
Wait until you see this place, you're not gonna believe it.
There is no way the dogs are gonna find the contraband in here.
Oh my gosh, you guys were not kidding.
Oh my God, indeed. The Prop Co-op is a 17,000 square foot warehouse. Each of its 10 aisles is 200 feet long, and it houses, get this, 30,000 separate items. But there's more to this challenge than just hide and seek.
We're not just hiding our contraband in this massive warehouse, but we're also going to try to disguise them in really strong scents. So we've picked out the 5 most commonly known mythical deterrents to a detection dog. We have coffee, we have peanut butter, citronella, perfume, and bleach. We'll see if any of these really strong scents can fool our dogs.
Carrie kicks off by packing the same contraband we used before inside a canister full of coffee. Sniffer dog Rex and his good friend Jason turn up to take the test.
Hi.
While Grant finds a really obscure place to hide the stash.
Perfect.
We're going to be watching you remotely from a screening area. You ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, go for it.
Rex, let's go.
With no clue as to where to start sniffing,
Good boy.
Rex sets off with a camera latched onto his collar.
Oh my God, dog cam is awesome.
Very focused.
Yeah. I'm getting seasick.
And after just a few minutes of cruising the aisles,
And he's honing in on it. I mean, he is like in the aisle where the contraband is.
He hasn't left, he keeps going back.
it's hard to believe that our secret substance, packed inside coffee and sealed in a plastic container, emits any odor at all.
Oh,
Sat down.
he sat down.
Sat down. That's a signal, right?
Yep. He found it.
There it is.
He found it.
There it is.
Oh.
Go, buddy.
And he found it inside of 5 minutes. This is just what they didn't expect.
So it looks like coffee is not strong enough to distract him from finding the contraband.
Which is really strange because coffee is the most famous of all of the mythical, scent disguises. I mean, you always hear about coffee.
Yeah, but you know what? Didn't beat him.
Coffee busted.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
So the next test is peanut butter. Now, I think this might work a little bit better than coffee because it's a lot denser and thicker and might be able to conceal the scent.
To further confound our canine crime fighter, Carrie slips the container inside a filing cabinet.
Okay, that ought to be good. But now, like Grant, I need to spread my scent all around so that there's no trail for the dog to get to.
So, with the aisles reeking of eau de Carrie, Rex goes to work.
Look at him. He's just going crazy, looking all over.
He's looking for one scent in a warehouse full of things. It's virtually a needle in a haystack.
Where'd you hide it?
I hid it in the file cabinet on aisle 3.
You'll never find it.
Well, you wouldn't think so, when the scent he's pursuing is submerged in peanut butter hidden inside a drawer. But Rex has other ideas.
Oh,
Yeah!
you got it!
Peanut butter busted.
For a second there, I thought it was actually gonna work.
So the team keeps trying to discombobulate the dog, but neither masking the target smell with a strong perfume
He found it! Oh!
or bleach worked well enough to rattle Rex.
How the heck do they do that?
All right, next.
Next is citronella. That's almost as bad as the perfume.
It's worse.
And it's looking like Tori just might be right. There's no time limit set, but the longer Rex takes, the more likely it is that he's lost the scent. Time after time, they pass by the package.
He's really close right now. This is right in the area.
And just as they're thinking they've foiled the sniffer dog, Rex puts his nose right in it.
He found it.
So hiding a scent with another scent, busted.
I'm thinking busted.
Yeah, we're gonna have to ramp this up.
So it's time for Plan B, which hopefully means driving a highly trained dog to distraction. In Beat the Bloodhound, we've already failed with our first 2 attempts to bemuse Morgan. Now it's time for a special request do-over.
Last time we tried to escape the bloodhound using the water in a creek as an evasion technique. We received some criticism from viewers saying that that body of water was too small and therefore wasn't as effective as it could be. This time around, we picked a much larger body of water, and we're going to see if that works better. Well, it's time for Adam, the camera crew, the dog, and his handler, Matt, to get really wet. Have fun!
What Jamie's forgotten is he'll be the first one to, wet his whistle. While he uses the head start to make tracks, Adam has time to reflect on not so much where he's going, but where Jamie came from.
You know, when Jamie's people first crossed the Bering Land Bridge and settled the Northern California coast, they lived in shelters not unlike this one behind me. I can still imagine the woolly mammoth rug that young Jamie was swaddled in.
Way upstream, Jamie takes to the drink for his first river crossing.
Now, I know this is only a game and nobody's really trying to shoot me, but it still kind of gets you going. Your first instinct is to run as far and fast as you can, so it takes a little nerve just to slow down, wade into the river and back again, and hope that that kind of tactic will save you.
Back up the beach, Morgan's baying for blood.
All right, buddy, ready?
Here we come!
The sand is so soft they could almost follow the footprints.
We're out on that guy's trail.
But that won't last for long as this search and retrieve turns amphibious.
All right. Come on, let's go. Where'd he go? Oh, there you go. Oh,
Oh, hey, that's cold!
The manhunt turns decidedly moist as Jamie, like any good felon, travels from bank to bank. And this is no creek he's been crossing.
For those of you that said the stream we used last time was too small, this body of water right here is give or take 100 feet wide.
In the reeds and the river, Morgan looks like he's staying on scent and on track.
Oh boy, where'd he go?
But it's hard to be sure if he's literally following in Jamie's footsteps.
Back in our first try at beating the bloodhound, we learned that scent molecules might actually be retained better in still or slow-moving water than they are on dry land. But back then, I was just jumping puddles. Now Jamie's up to his belly button in a real river, so honestly, I don't know if the dog can still track him through all this.
Our escapee has now left the river for somewhere high and dry.
Now I found my spot.
But Morgan's not one to turn tail when the going gets soggy or muddy.
I might leave a shoe here.
Jamie's concerns are more dire. The dog's back in the river and swimming his way. Adding insult to reincarceration, he's actually been sniffed out midstream.
go get him! Go get him! Go get him! Where'd he go?
That is one good dog. Good boy. Oh, got you, Heinemann!
The fans thought this might be the best way to frustrate the dog. But it's now Morgan 3 and MythBusters nothing.
Well, I guess a larger body of water does not an escape make. Got me fair and square.
When I first saw Jamie's trail in the sand, I was like, and then when I got to the river, I was like, oh. And then when Morgan found Jamie, I was like, woo! That's pretty much sums up my day.
Okay, so we know that the detection dogs can smell our contraband in whatever we try to disguise it in. So let's move on to distractions.
Okay, well, let's start it with an attraction. We know from our previous experiment with the dogs that when there was a urine of a female dog and heat around, our attack dog could not focus at all.
All right, well, in addition to that tactic, let's also try repelling the dog. Now, as we know, dogs hate high-pitched frequency sounds. So why don't we get one of those sound dog repellents? That way the handler can't hear it, but the dog will hate it and try to get away from it.
The first thing they need to find out is if one of those high-frequency devices actually works to repel dogs. Volunteering for testing, well, kind of, are Carrie's two pups, Gertie and Smash.
Now, we shouldn't be able to hear this. They should want to get away from it as quickly as possible.
All right, let's see if it works.
3, 2, 1.
Look at that. It totally worked. And I don't know about you, but I didn't hear it.
This is cool.
So the myth takes a turn to the great outdoors, and this time we're taking it to the people.
Here we are at Fort Mason at the edge of the bay where we are setting up a live concert scenario. I think this is going to be the perfect location and situation to try to fool the Sniffer dogs.
It may not look like much now, but through the magic of television, over 200 people. And for each of our tests, one of them will be holding our contraband.
Adding further confusion to this dog-unfriendly scene, we've invited a man with a very loud car stereo and a fast food truck that should waft a dog-distracting scent through the crowd. Meantime, Tori's first job is finding a fitting contraband mule. They're using the same mystery substance as last time, so nobody's breaking the law.
Hey, nice shirt. Thank you.
He's looking for someone who doesn't stand out from the crowd.
You know, we want people who are just dressed normally.
He finally settles on Kyle as his average Joe.
I think we found our guy. Come with me, I gotta talk to you. If you choose to do this, I have some contraband in this bag. You're gonna be holding this contraband, trying to get into this concert. But what I also have here is a sound repellent, and this will drive the dog crazy. So every time the dog comes up to you, I want you to push this, and we'll see if this actually keeps the dog away from the contraband.
Okay.
So we've sorted the rules of engagement, but it's always worth getting a second opinion from Dr. Mike.
That could work, actually. Dogs have a much higher frequency range than people do. Not to mention, she's got about 18 muscles that control the movement of this ear. We've got about 9. And she hears things about 4 times louder than you and I do.
In what you might call the ultimate lab test, Gypsy gets picked to defend her profession. The crowd splits into lines, and remember, the stereo is still banging out tunes. The smell from the taco truck is deliciously distracting. And somewhere in that seething mass of humanity is Kyle and his contraband.
All right, act normal, everybody. I always get nervous around cops.
Now Gypsy begins to sniff out the substance, one row of malodorous malingerers after another. Then, as she draws ever closer to Kyle, he starts pushing the button. But this is a dog on a mission, and the ultra-high pitch has no effect whatsoever.
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause!
Good job! There's no doubt that the dog heard the sound, but she's just too well trained and too focused to let it distract her.
So the sound repellent did not work.
No, not at all. You saw her just go and then sat right down.
Instantly found it. All right, let's move on to our next tactic.
All right.
It's the next tactic they've all pinned their hopes on, and the featured attraction is both Beauty and the Beast. Adam and Jamie are trying to beat the bloodhound, and so far it's not going well.
Got you, Heinemann!
Next up is the lineup. The question we're trying to answer is whether a bloodhound can use a scent article to identify a suspect in a lineup.
Thanks to the movies, we all know how a lineup works.
All right, hit him.
A multiple choice for a witness to pick out the bad guy.
That's him. You're sure now? That's the one.
But we're challenging Morgan to sniff out the suspect. To be fair, he's had no training in multiple felon detection. But it's our show, and we'll take every advantage we can.
Kevin, are we ready to bring in the suspects?
Ready.
Excellent. We'll find your accomplice soon enough, Heineman.
Former bloodhound trainer Kevin Bond steps in to run the trial. And here's how it works. 5 volunteers each supply 1 unwashed shirt, and each shirt gets a number. The men are directed to follow a path, then split up to take their positions.
So far, 4 of our suspects are equidistantly spaced, about 20 yards apart, about 200 yards away from us.
With the last of the lineup put in his place, Adam picks 1 shirt at random for Morgan to sniff. If he tracks down the owner, he's beaten the lineup. Now all that remains is to call action.
All right, Matt, bring in the dog. It's time to find out which one of our suspects in the field is Mr. Heineman's accomplice here.
After whiffing the shirt, Morgan leads Matt to the long yellow grass on a trail that's been trodden by all 5 suspects.
That bunch of grass is the point of divergence. And right now, Morgan's got 5 different human scents in his nose. I know it's kind of unfair, but we want to see if the dog can still pick up the original scent and find his man.
The dog does choose his man. Then another, and then another. The signals he's giving are far from clear. And after a few frustrating minutes, neither Morgan nor Matt can make a positive ID.
Yeah, I'm done.
Do you want to give him one more shot?
I can. I don't know if it's going to change anything, though.
But it might. Only Kevin knew which shirt belonged to which man, and he's told the producers that Morgan actually got it right on his very first sniff, though no one else knew it.
He did make a beeline for the correct suspect in the very beginning of the test.
He's just not giving me anything.
So our question is, was that a problem with communication between the dog and the handler, or was that the dog didn't actually know that this was the right guy, he just took a random lucky guess? With that in mind, we're going to do the test over again, and we'll see what happens.
A fresh start needs a new lineup. The men are dispatched to their respective trees, and the dog gets a sniff of a different scent article from a new purr.
Jamie and I are watching with great interest as Morgan heads pretty much straight for one of the guys. But he doesn't seem to be indicating as strongly as Matt would like, and then heads off to sniff a second suspect. By this time, Matt decides there's no point in going any further, and I'm hoping that we finally managed to confuse this dog.
My best guess is the gentleman that we went to first there.
All right. Shall we bring him in?
Sure, what the heck? Let's see what happened.
All right.
So they round up the usual suspects, and Sheriff Savage gives them the 3rd degree.
Okay, which one of you guys was tagged by the dog? Now, here's the $1 million question. Which one of you is the owner of this shirt? Hey, we got a positive!
Wow.
That's a positive ID right there.
None of us knew whose shirt that was.
Good dog!
I'm just flabbergasted at what we just saw. Here we are in the middle of a field with a breeze going across it. I just saw a dog come up to a scent article and barely pause in front of it, and then take off making a beeline for our suspect.
Oh, that's a good boy.
I don't get it. So the lineup, what do you think?
Well, I think it's plausible the dog can often pick out its suspect, but it's far from 100%.
Agreed.
We came close, but still can't call it busted. There's just one test to go, and it's all down to Jamie.
You know what's funny about this? You make a natural escaped convict.
Why, thanks.
You're welcome. Hey. Get him!
Having just failed to distract a substance-sniffing dog with repulsion, the guys have now gone for extreme attraction.
So now it's time for us to deploy our female dog and heat distraction. But that's not going to work on Gypsy because she's a female. So we're going to swap her out and bring in Max, who is a fine male specimen.
And Gina is the fine female specimen. We'll plant the stash on a volunteer who'll stand a few feet away from our doggy femme fatale.
Now, you know that this is contraband, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you are willing to hold this in your bag?
Absolutely.
No one here knows if the scheme has a chance of success. Oh, we'd sure like it to turn out like this. It's time once again to defer to an expert prediction.
So dogs have an organ called the vomeronasal organ, or the Jacobson's organ. And it sits back behind the opening of the nasal passages in the mouth, and it processes data, a lot of data. It collects really big molecules. These big molecules, they could be pheromones most of the time. So for a female that's in heat, she's gonna be putting out a lot of pheromones and a lot of chemical signals. So this dog that's coming through, he might get his brain scrambled, so to speak.
So the stage is set to make animal attraction a spectator sport.
All right, you guys ready?
We should get a live studio audience.
EJ and Max begin casing the cues, and for a while, it's business as usual. Then they close in on the source of this canine catnip.
Look at that, he's salivating. It's working. He's totally distracted.
Come on, back to work.
He can't focus.
He keeps looking back there.
What a dog.
He does look distracted, and this is the point where the handler does his bit, enforcing the proper procedure.
In real searches in real world, we take the dog out first.
Even if they're in heat or not in heat.
In heat
Any
or not
dog.
in heat.
All right.
They gotta be out.
So in heat or not, other dogs are always removed from the scene, and that's exactly what they do with Gina.
But good job.
All right, thank you.
All right, see you guys.
Bud has that brain-scrambling waft of female pheromones already done irreparable damage. To find out, Max is put straight back to work. And incredibly, proves that he still has his mind and his nose on the job. So to really disrupt the detection, seems we might have to target the man, not the dog.
The dog and the handler, they're a team. If we're gonna beat them, we're not gonna beat the dog, so I think now we need to focus on the handler. Okay, so we've seen these dogs just can't be beaten. But what about the handlers?
So what if we took something that the dog was attracted to, some kind of food treat, and we put that next to the contraband? Then when the handler opens the bag, he thinks the dog's going for the food and moves on.
In other words, give the handler a false positive.
Exactly.
Oh, I got another idea. What if we hide the contraband in something really gross? So gross that the handler will just sort of look at it and says, maybe I'll move on to the next thing.
Like what?
Well, I have access to some really good dirty diapers.
Perfect.
From baby's bottoms to false bottoms, Tori ups the stakes by customizing the luggage.
All right, so I'm making these hidden compartments in these bags, and they're perfect. I've drilled out the pop rivet that holds these cleats on the bottom of the bags, but that also holds in this bottom piece of the bag. And what I found is a little area that I can just slip my contraband in. I stick this back in the bag, and I attach my feet back to the bag. It holds this bottom down. The handler looks in here, and it looks like nothing has been done to this bag. We're gonna fool these guys. I can feel it.
Instead of a throng of people, this time the dog team will snort through a horde of luggage.
We are here at one of the largest luggage shops in the Bay Area. There's over 1,000 pieces of luggage in here.
The team we'll be testing is Ken and Buck. All they know is this won't be a walk in the park. Back inside, there's some bags that need packing.
Now, we've packed tons of bags with clothing, but we've also added a few diversionary strong scents that a traveler might bring home from a vacation. Like, he goes to France and he comes with like pate and super stinky cheese. We're hoping that when the dog is attracted to these smells, the handler is going to misread his signs and think that it's not the contraband, but the stinky cheese that's attracting them.
So a whole bunch of bags are stuffed with fabric and food, but only one has the contraband hidden inside a false bottom. And remember, they're testing the man as much as the dog.
All right, Kenny, we are all ready for our next test.
Go to it.
The first hoop to jump through is finding the scent Buck's been trained to detect, disguised by our piquant picnic. Assuming he does, and yep, there you have it.
I found my bag. that guy.
Will Ken leave the lunch and continue the search?
I don't think we can fool the dog, but maybe the handler.
With dogged resolve, he digs right to the bottom. And then some.
We found the contraband.
He found it in the false bottom. I thought the meat was going to be a good distraction.
It seems nothing gets by our detecting duo. But the last test of all could taint the sweet smell of success. Thanks to Carrie's new child, we've scored a whole mess of, used baby clothing.
Now this particular bag of poopy diaper has been ripening and rotting for about a week now, and I can actually smell it through the bag. So if we can just hide the contraband inside one of these poopy diapers, I don't think he's gonna go for it.
Yes, you heard right. We're foregoing the secret compartment to hide the parcel right in the poop. If Buck finds the right bag and Ken trusts in his training, we'll see just how committed he is to the cause.
This is gonna be a fun one. You ready?
Yeah, this is our last chance, right?
Yep. All right. Come on in.
It's a cruel trick to play on a boy and his dog. But let's face it, we're not here to make friends.
Look at him. He's all over the place. I think he might be onto the scent. I think he detects something.
It takes a bit longer than last time.
Good thing he's not a poop detecting dog.
I think they all are, actually.
But finally, Buck closes in on the muck.
Oh, he sat down. Oh, he said he found it.
Now for the sticky part.
Closer, I want to see this.
Will Ken assume Buck has been fooled? And if not, how far will he go? There's a stench of defeat in the air as Kenny digs in and digs deep.
You're a brave man, Kenny. I wouldn't do that.
Dirty diapers, that is commitment to your job.
Real nice.
And that just goes to show, not only can you not fool the dog, you also can't fool the handler. Good luck at the evidence locker.
With that parting cheap shot, Ken explains just why he and his mate were destined to make every lamppost a winner.
People try to trick us every day, but as handlers, we train equally as hard as our dogs. So I know how to read him, and he knows how to read me.
Nothing we threw at these dogs ever distracted them. I mean, they were able to find the contraband every single time.
Yeah. Overpowering smells, other distractions, fooling the handler, all failed.
So I think we're busted on all fronts. Sniffer dogs have won.
Totally busted.
Busted.
Over the course of 2 episodes, Jamie and I have tried everything we have ever heard of to evade the bloodhound. Tree climbing, backtracking, zigzagging, river crossing, using a commercial hunting no-scent suit. And while none of it's worked, we have in fact learned a few things along the way, and it's time to put that knowledge that we've gained to the ultimate test. Our point of departure is this. Remember this, the no-scent suit? Now, this failed to fool Morgan's olfactory senses, but we still feel like there's a concept here that we can utilize, and that's why we designed this, the MythBusters Advanced Body Odor Removal Zone. The scent removal process begins here, in this very tent. Inside, once sealed away, convict Heineman will rinse himself, then he will wash himself, then he will wipe himself down with wipes specifically designed for hunters to remove their body odor. He will then don the first layer of protection he will wear and exit the tent.
So the Crim once again turns clean skin, but this time around, that's just phase 1.
Ready for phase 2.
It's a procedure so thorough, he'll actually need help from 3 expert assistants.
Where they will implement a 15-step process that will not only install upon Jamie a specially modified gas mask that filters his output, not his input, but 2 more layers of sealed suits.
In between layers, he's wiped down with acetone and spritzed with more no-scent hunting spray.
I'd just like to seal around your eyeballs here.
I should note that I've modified this mask, so I'm actually exhaling out of the filter instead of inhaling, as it was designed to do. And I've reversed the one-way valve here, so my exhalations are being filtered by a charcoal filter.
And that's not all. Remember when I said Jamie rinsed himself off? Well, he did it in this black pool right here, which is now full of a concoction I like to call
essence of the Heinemann. It is this concoction we will fill this backpack sprayer with. That's right, Jamie will be wearing a backpack sprayer with which to lay down a fake scent trail. And if none of that works, I don't know what will. Are you ready? Take off then. Whoever said I never gave a guy a running start?
So he's released back into the wild, spraying a decoy scent of his own bathwater, full of the sweat, the oils, the flakes of skin that smell uniquely of Jamie.
Notice that I'm being very careful about how I handle this sprayer. I'm making sure that I stay upwind as much as possible. I'm keeping the nozzle of the sprayer pointed away from me and down in the weeds, so none of the water gets on me.
Then he figures he's frolicked enough. He dumps loads of the scent in a circle, then tosses the backpack and hightails it for the tall timber.
Our opponent, Crafty Walrus. Our weapon of choice, man's best friend. Let's go. You ready, buddy? Oh, he's ready. Get him. It's on.
Jamie, meantime, has run half a mile to find the best cover he can. And Morgan, so far, seems all business.
So at first, Morgan seems to have a really good feel for the trail, which is pretty much what we expected. And eventually, we arrive at the spray pack Jamie has dumped in the grass. Morgan sniffs around, and honestly, this is where I get the full thrill of the chase thing, because he barely pauses before bolting in a really specific direction. Now, I have no idea which way Jamie went, but it sure seems like the dog does.
So it's down to the final tense moments of Hound versus Heinemann.
I'm laying down under a tree in a deep hollow. I can't see anything, but I can hear the dog barking, and he's getting closer. This is really fun, actually. It's kind of like playing hide and seek.
It might be some faint trace of Jamie's breath or a few micro drops of water that attach to his suit. All we know is that Morgan's picked up on something, and Jamie's 10 minutes of freedom have come to an end.
That's a good boy.
Good boy.
That's a good boy. Come here.
The winner, man's best friend. That is one finely tuned instrument. I can't imagine that we could go any farther than we went to eliminate all traces of human scent from Jamie, and still, Morgan just made a beeline right for him.
Come here, good boy. Ha ha, that's a good dog. What a good boy.
So how are we going to wrap this up?
Well, let's see. You tried spreading red herring, you tried crossing a larger body of water, and you tried a commercial no-scent suit.
Dog found me every time.
Yep, none of them worked. But picking one of your accomplices out of a lineup?
Well, it's not 100%, but it's certainly plausible.
And finally, the MythBusters super sneaky no-scent, no-body odor suit.
Well, the dog still found me.
And from all this we can conclude?
You still can't beat the bloodhound.